Just saw my session with Leighanne Littrell of the Backstreet Boys and his wife, Leighanne. Leighanne was moved by hearing from close friends and family during the session. But what we didn't get to see was what happened earlier that day during AJ and fiancée Sarah's reading that pertained directly to Brian. Brian was a bit shy to speak up at first, but being familiar with this process, he knew that anything was possible. He's really insistent that I bring through this younger male with the cancer, or somebody that's younger than him that had cancer that would have affected the head and neck. And I feel like they had severe chemotherapy. They lost their hair. It's like a whole big, it's like a really long, debilitating. They kept their spirits up as best as they could. But I feel like this kid had to be he was like in a wheelchair. It's a big, big deal that they're bringing this up. So he wants the credit for bringing this energy through. Okay. So if it's connected to somebody that's here, I need that to be acknowledged. Just say if that, even though I'm saying it's here, if it's for you or for anybody else that's listening to this kid has to be acknowledged because Joseph wants to bring him through. You have questions, jump in.
Okay. The guy in the wheelchair, is he young or old?
It was younger than the grandparents here, and they kept hitting it, and kept hitting it, and kept hitting it. So I feel like when I look at the information that comes through and how it comes through, I put myself in their reference, so it had to be younger than them. But it was somebody who had cancer, had multiple tumors and treatments. Something had to affect the neck and the head area. They did lose their hair, and it was important, as you saw how many times they said it, that they acknowledged that.
I had a friend when I was a child. I was in the hospital, and he had a brain tumor, and he passed. And when you kept referencing to the neck and losing the hair and things like that, he was a really good friend of mine.
That passed that way?
Yeah.
Well, that's very much possible that it could have been.
That's why I was asking questions, because I didn't want to give you any.
That's fine.
That's why I was saying, how old was he? Because you kept saying
young,
right.
And I was.
Well, it had to be younger than them. But you saw how many, and he was in a wheelchair?
Yes, he was in a wheelchair.
And you knew the kid well?
Yeah. We shared a hospital bed together, a hospital room together in 1980.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if this was his way of making the acknowledgement, of letting you know that he was here. After this unexpected visit from an important friend in Brian's life, my focus returned to AJ and his family on the other side. But as you'll see, one beloved member of AJ's family was determined to pull Brian back into the reading. Is there anybody else that your grandma's related to that's in this house as we speak, or that she knew?
No.
Well, she's not making me feel like she didn't know you.
No, she never met her.
She knew you?
She knew him.
Okay. Because I feel like I need to acknowledge, the other person that she wants me to acknowledge, besides you, that's somebody else that I would see as being like, she wants me to call family, which is a compliment to you, because she's bringing you in as family to her. Is this something that you would have gone to visit her? Like you would have stopped in to see her where she was at, or that there would have been a connection that she wouldn't have come to you, but you would have gone out of your way to go to her in some respect?
I used to come to school with AJ, and that was where she was at all the time.
Okay, because I feel like it's not like her going out of her way to come see you guys someplace. It's more like you went to, that's just her way of just bringing this up.
Brian and I and Nick were all getting tutored. Brian and I were in high school, Nick was in middle school, and we decided the closest area for us to all work together was at my apartment complex, and I was living with my grandparents and my mother. Brian, above and beyond anybody at that point in our lives, would come over a lot and hang out with me and play basketball, and my grandmother made the best, and she's the only one that can make the best lasagna.
Even AJ's grandmother, when she came through, she acknowledged me in a way like eating lasagna, and those were good times in our lives, and she was bringing those up. And that's what people have to remember watching the show, is not everybody can be touched in that direct way, but they can be touched in a symbolic way of someone else's loved ones coming through.
But I feel like this kid had to be he was like in a wheelchair.
He was acknowledging someone, in a wheelchair, and he kept saying to the right side of the couch, and so I kind of stayed out of it. But as I thought about it more, I thought, well, maybe it could have been a friend of mine that was a young kid. He was a friend of mine in 1980 when I was 5 years old, and he had a brain tumor. He passed away from a brain tumor. And as I started thinking about it, and he was young, and he was in a wheelchair, and he lost his hair, and chemo, and it was a bad thing, and it was a bad experience, because my parents were very close to his parents, and we shared a hospital room together in Lexington, Kentucky, and I feel like, I was the one blessed with life after that, when I really wasn't supposed to have life after that. So I feel like he kind of came through in that way, which was really neat.
Thanks so much to Brian and Leighanne for taking part in the show and for being so open to the process.